we're back tonight. Oh my gosh, we've got this wonderful double episode. We just got off with Cassandra. Welcome to 8 Simple Steps, the trials and triumphs of why you are an entrepreneur. And this is our weekly series on Thursdays, which I bring you, your rock star entrepreneurs. It's been a little bit messy tonight, I got to tell you. We've had tech issues. We've got Cassandra had 4 kids, and now we have the amazing Jovan Jackson. Dr. Jovan Jackson, she is the CEO of Good News Financial and Investment, and I am so happy that you are here. Life got in the way last week, and so we're doing a double episode tonight. And you know what I say? Life is messy. Business is messier, and when you put the two together, you never know what you're going to get. And so I'm just glad that you are here tonight, and I would love for you to tell all of our entrepreneurs tuning in tonight, as a rock star entrepreneur, why are you an entrepreneur and working for yourself and not working in corporate? Share with us.
It's really first let me thank you, Maureen, just for having me and just for doing all that you're doing to this community and sharing all the great resources that you continuously bring, and just being flexible too, and just being authentically you. Okay, so just thank you so much. But that question is honestly summed up in one word, and that's the word freedom. That's it. And interestingly, freedom is really my most highest value. Yeah.
I hear that a lot. In fact, the guest before you, my guest last week or the week prior, every time I especially have a mom, a
Mm-hmm.
woman,
Mm-hmm.
they say that I absolutely love the freedom in my life to make my own schedule, control my own destiny, right?
Yeah.
And do it on my own terms. And if
Mm-hmm.
I have a family I have to juggle,
Yeah.
I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
So did you have a corporate job before becoming an entrepreneur?
So yes, I did. And so prior to that, I started out as a veteran. I was in the army. And that's really when I realized that I had to get out of corporate America, because I remember my grandfather passing away. And I had to ask permission to go to the funeral or request leave. And it was a possibility that they could deny the leave. And in those moments, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. Like, this is not good. It just didn't feel right. And that's when I really made the decision to become an entrepreneur. Had no plan, had no idea how I was going to do it, but that's when it started. So after my tenure in the Army, I did come out and work as a government contractor. Yeah, in corporate.
All right. So I have to ask you,
Mhm.
seeing the side, both sides, the
Yeah,
corporate side and the military side, and now the
right.
entrepreneurial side,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
What was the hardest transition? Was it going from military to corporate or corporate to entrepreneur?
I would have to say between the two, I think I would say, oh yeah, I would say corporate to entrepreneur. And I guess I don't know if I would really say it was harder. It was more riskier. It was more riskier, and it was because I at that time in my corporate tenure, I was just at like a 6 figure income. I had just hit like 6 figures, and so leaving, a lot of people told me I was crazy. My family, they were like, what are you doing, what are you thinking about? My friends, and that was the part. It was scary, and that, but I was so, but because I kind of built a bridge, and that's why I said it wasn't as hard, but it was more riskier. But I had kind of built a bridge, meaning I had started working part time on my dream, and I was still full time in my corporate job. Yeah,
Yes.
so I didn't just jump. And I always tell people that story. I didn't jump out of the plane without a parachute.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not. I didn't take that road. And I was married at the time, my first marriage. And we had just built a $500,000 home. Uh-oh. The screen went black. Okay, yeah, we had just built a $500,000 home, like literally within 2 months of me leaving corporate America, and yeah, it was just more riskier. But again, I had started doing things well before that time, making some investments in real estate, and I had some reserves built up, so I had at least a few years of reserve to cover and keep me going, with the hopes that business would kick in. It didn't really kick in that fast, but I like I said, I had built that bridge so the transition was easier. Wasn't hard, but it was more riskier.
I love this advice, and I hear it a lot. And we
Yeah.
always say it's not a side hustle, because, and I have to come up with a new term for this. And I say it all the time, because people aren't doing just a side hustle to do a
Hmm.
side hustle. It's actually an exit plan.
Mm.
That's really what they're doing. The people I have on here who have become full-time entrepreneurs have played it the right way. They
Yeah.
have been paid to start a business, make their own mistakes,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Learn some lessons, get some clients, and
Hmm.
then have everything kind of worked out as much as you can, and
Hmm.
confidence,
Hmm.
and then execute the exit. And
That's it.
so that is, I think, some of the best advice, that we do hear it over and over again, but we do still have people out there who may not be listening to it.
Right.
Also, we may have people out there who didn't have that opportunity. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people who've been displaced in the workforce.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I see ageism is just rampant out there, and
Yeah.
they have to reinvent themselves. So,
Hmm.
with somebody who is brand new, who didn't really get that opportunity, what would you say to them? Um, just starting as an entrepreneur, are there things that they should do to start out that will help them along the way?
Okay, so here's the thing. Either you're going to pay with time, or you're going to pay with proximity. One of the two. So it's much better to pay with proximity, meaning find you a mentor, because a proximity means, I'm connecting with someone who has the skills, has the experience. They can shortcut that time that it will take for you to learn it on your own and go through the school of the hard knocks, right? And that's what I always tell people: find someone who can kind of hold you by the hand, walk you through this journey, invest in educating yourself, and educating on what it takes to run a business. For example, I always use the restaurant business as an example. If you want to become a restaurant owner, I would encourage you to start working with the dishwasher. Start in the dishwasher and work your way all the way up. So now you understand the front, the back, and everything in between the business, right? Invest in yourself so you can understand what it takes to be a business. A lot of times people just start these businesses just based off of pure skill and talent. But that's not enough. That will get you in the game. It won't keep you in the game. And a mentor will help you to not just start it, but to stay in it.
Absolutely. No
Mhm.
truer words, but sometimes they do fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in my line of work, I see a lot of people who have spun their wheels for a very long time
Yeah.
before they actually say, I need a community. I need somebody to help guide me with this. So
Mhm.
please listen to your fellow entrepreneurs who have walked it, who have lived it, who have done it, and maybe not done it the right way, and have come
Right.
back and realized definitely that shortcuts, you can really cut out a lot of messy stuff
Hmm.
that could go on. So thank you for that advice, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get an idea of who you focus in on. Who is your community you serve in your business?
Yeah, for me, I serve pre-retirees and retirees. People who are in that phase, and they're on that horizon. They see that they're looking to cut their ties with corporate America really soon, but they are concerned with growing their money safely, especially as we consider the financial climate that we're in and we've been in. Right, they're concerned with that. They may even find themselves writing big checks to the IRS every year. And they just kind of maybe find themselves in this vicious repetitive cycle of draining and replenishing their savings to finance their lifestyle. And so what we do is provide solutions to show them how to safely grow their money, how to drastically cut their taxes and become their own bank so that they can generate, save, and generate more income in retirement so they can live that worry-free, stress-free retirement that they've worked so hard for the last 30 and 40 years for.
And I have to say, like, in this climate right now of uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
I think people probably need to kind of connect
Yeah.
with somebody like you who could put things in the right place, because we
Yeah.
just don't know anymore
Yeah.
what is happening out there. So would you like to share a tip for anybody out there, like one thing that's going on out in the money world that retirees could maybe take advantage of?
Oh yeah. One of the things, I guess I'll just preach from the same message we've been preaching from. One of the things that our industry has done a disservice for is getting people to retirement, but not getting them through retirement.
Hmm.
Okay. And so, what I mean by that is people, spend so much energy and focus on accumulation. Oh, I got to save as much as I can. I got to max out this plan and max out that plan. We're just doing all these things to save, but they don't realize I kind of equate it to like a mountain, right? Climbing a mountain. If you ever had the opportunity to climb a mountain, hopefully you have a guide first and foremost, right? But let's just say you don't, and you know how to get up there. But what happens once you get to the peak, the top of the mountain? Now it's time to come back down the mountain. The same strategy that you use to get up is totally different when it's time to come down. And that's where a lot of people drop the ball, is that they learn all the skills it takes to get to the top of the mountain, which is retirement for most people, but they have no idea how they're going to get down. And down is distribution. Down is basically, how am I going to turn this big pot of money into an income to sustain me over the next 20 or 30 years, because that's the average time people are living, 20, 30 years in retirement, just the same amount of time that they've been living in workforce, right? And so that's where the science and planning come in, to connect with someone like myself who specialize in distribution planning, income planning, showing you how to take all of these pots of money, how to optimize it in the best way, not only to protect it and continue to grow it, but to preserve it. And one of the major things that we just came out of that season of tax season, that's one of the major threats to retirees' income is taxes. And so that's what I would encourage the listeners to do, is to connect with someone who understands distribution planning and specifically tax planning, to show you how that you can keep a lot of that hard-earned money, because most people have their assets in these tax deferred and pre-tax accounts that, man, when I asked most people, in fact, let me ask you this question: do you think taxes will be higher or lower in the future? What would you say to that?
Oh, absolutely higher, and I don't plan on any Social Security. So there you go, everything.
Yeah. And that's what most people feel the same way, Maureen. They feel the same way. And so if you think that now, with what has already happened, which we don't even know what's still to come, right? That's where people have to kind of wake up and say, let me figure out how to get as much as my money out of these pre-tax accounts and tax deferred accounts into tax favorite accounts and vehicles, so that again I can keep as much of this money that I've worked so hard for. Because if you don't do it, you're looking at potentially 40-50% of what you thought you had to spend is going to go right to IRS. So that's one of the major tips that, yeah, I would encourage people to definitely start, paying more attention to, because it's the middle class, the people who have, the assets in these accounts. Those are the ones who's going to pay for all of this stuff we just came out of, all of this pandemic and wars and, Ukraine, all of these things, that debt, inflation, all of these things that now the taxpayer, they're going to be looking to the middle class to pay all this debt back that we've accumulated just over the past several years.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, the one reason you say you do it is because of the freedom that you
Hmm.
love it. But
Hmm.
I can imagine that you've had challenges out there as an entrepreneur. What's the greatest challenge you've had and how did you overcome it?
Let's see. Well, I guess it depends on what season. Okay, what season? I'm 15 years in here, so I guess I would use more recent, the last 10 years. The challenge has been marketing, because you know as you know, we have kind of switched over into this whole digital era where things that the way we used to do business is totally different. It's not the same. The whole platform, everything is different, right? And so marketing has been challenging. And to be totally transparent, Maureen, I am still overcoming that challenge. But what I've learned to do now is, I've probably spent the last 10 years trying to figure out the whole, digital landscape and marketing. I'm a millennial. I'm the last, or I'm the first millennial, right? I'm on the cuff of the millennial. So I automatically have a mind, I think, futuristic, right? I think, how can we work smarter, not harder? Let's make this more efficient. I'm automatically thinking that. So I've probably spent the last 10 years really trying to figure out this whole digital landscape, which, it's constantly changing, it's constantly evolving. So the moment you think you figured out one part,
Yeah.
it's completely changed on you again, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I update my slide decks for my workshops and my speaking events. Literally, I did one in January and I had to update it again in March on
yeah,
social media because it changes so
it
rapidly. Um,
changes.
so, what type of marketing platforms do you find that are working best for you, either digital or traditional?
I've,
Um,
I've had more success on Facebook. I'm transitioning. I want to use more LinkedIn and do more things. I'm still trying to learn LinkedIn because I'm like, why am I getting no engagement on LinkedIn when I'm getting all this? So again, it's like you got to learn. Each platform has their own rules. But yeah, Facebook has been more beneficial for me. But I'm learning now to shift and pivot, because I feel like more of the people that I serve, they are on LinkedIn. They're on both, right? They're on both. So yeah, just trying to figure that whole thing out. But I've decided to leave it to the marketing people. Like, I'm done trying to figure it out. I'm just like, let me just hire someone to kind of help me with this part, because it's a lot. And I didn't go to school for that. I didn't, that's not my area. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs too get stuck in. We spend so much time trying to figure out this marketing thing, which is critical, which is important. You have to figure it out. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's how you get your audience. That's how you get
Exactly.
your clients, right? You got to get
Exactly.
your brand out there. You got to get your message out there, and you got to get it in the
Exactly.
right places. And I have to tell you, I'm a total LinkedIn. That is my favorite platform,
Okay.
regardless of what type of business. I will tell you, I run a free workshop on how to set up your LinkedIn company page in 1 hour.
Oh
So if you want
wow.
to join us on March 16th at 6 o'clock, or anybody
Okay.
else out there, if you are a business, you should have a business page, and
Yeah.
that will complement your personal page to get
Yeah.
you greater engagement and more credibility and validity,
Yeah.
being on LinkedIn with that company page. So please let me know. I would love to see you there because LinkedIn for your business,
Mhm.
absolutely key.
Yeah.
Because think about it, there are a lot of the boomers on there that are
Yeah.
leaving their jobs, but there are also young people who want to make sure they're set up. I have Gen
Exactly.
Zers, and they're already doing financial apps, 401ks. They're doing crypto and all that stuff. Like, they're all into
Mm-hmm.
the finance stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
your
Hmm.
your group there,
Yeah.
and I'm a Gen Xer and I'll be going into retirement, they're all there for you.
Yeah.
Not that you should be servicing every generation, but your
Yeah.
audience is definitely there.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad you're giving the LinkedIn plug. I don't know if Holly is still on, but Holly Cotton is a good friend of mine. She's in my entrepreneur community, and
Okay.
she's an amazing um, author and teaches people how to write. And so I think she's probably going to agree. She's just learning LinkedIn too.
Awesome.
So tell me, what's been your greatest success? We talked about challenges, and you've been
Mhm.
very honest about that, and you're spot on. Stay in your lane and find
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
can help you with things you're maybe not that skilled in.
Mhm.
What's been the greatest success that you've had in your company?
I see. I guess I would have to sum it up to just starting the RIA. So, and it's a little backstory with that because so I've been in business for about over 15 years now. And so I started as a real estate agent, and it was that actually led me into financial service. So the next step was insurance. I got my insurance license, and then I was doing insurance planning and still retirement planning, just using insurance products for from 2020, between 2010 and 2020.
Hmm.
Well, I decided then that I needed to add the securities onto it, right? Which is how I started my company, Good News. Okay. So I was already in business, but I decided to start another business, or it's the same business, but kind of, the previous business, I wasn't the founder of the insurance firm, but I was a insurance advisor, right? So it's when I decided to formally start another entity, right? And so it was really just starting the entity as a RIA itself. And the reason why it was the greatest success, because most newly licensed security advisors, they don't start their own firms. 99% of them affiliate with another broker dealer or another RIA. Okay. Yes. And so if they ever decide to start their own company, they don't consider even thinking about it until they have millions of dollars under management. They have some years under their belt, a lot of assets that they're managing and things like that. Well, me, I decided to start from scratch with a goose egg. And most people are like, what? And start the whole firm itself. And that's what I did. And I really didn't know at the time the magnitude of the risk and all that was involved in starting a firm, right? But I did it anyway. I did it anyway. I did take a little bit of time to kind of learn a little bit. I took a course. Somebody was offering a course on starting your own RIA. And so I did that before, but I still didn't understand all the magnitude of that decision. And so just starting it with zero assets under management and still being here, what is it, going on 3 years later? Now I have assets, and we're sustaining, we're profitable. That has been my greatest success, where 1%, I'm probably 1% of advisors have ever done that. So that would be my greatest success.
Kudos to you. Congratulations. And you're definitely an entrepreneur because you got that calculated risk taking going on.
Yeah.
You're like, I've learned, from you in just a short period of time that you're going to go for it.
Yeah.
You are. And, kudos to you because again, you've got the mindset, you're thinking it through and you're
Hmm.
taking the risk and you're making
Yeah.
it work. So congratulations. I
Oh,
love it.
thank you. I
Absolutely
appreciate
love
that.
it.
And Maureen, I'm still blown away, right, by all of that. The risk that I've taken and leaving, being a four-time published author and leaving corporate 15 years ago, right, with a six-figure income to do what I'm doing now, to now being one of the very few Black female owned advisory firm owners, right, where we're managing millions of dollars. But Maureen, it hasn't always been like this, okay? And what a lot of people don't know was that there was a time in my life where I felt like I had the rug pulled from underneath of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I found my own self broke, busted, alone,
Yeah.
frustrated, right? All of that, and pregnant on top of that, after that 2008 real estate bust. I
Yeah.
lost almost everything in that bust. And I was one of those people where foreclosures became a reality for me, repossessions, bankruptcy, divorce, all of that. was a reality to me. And, how in the world did I get here? You know, I was working 10, 12-hour days, trying to be financially responsible with my money, paying tithes and offerings at church, right? Trying to be a good steward. At least that's what I thought. But yet I was I was embarrassed. I was sitting there with a bank account that I was ashamed of and a marriage that had dissolved. What happened, right?
You know what, though? This story right now gives you what I call a competitive differentiator. Okay?
Mm,
Because sharing your story, as hard as it is, and most people wouldn't even go there, going, how are they going to trust me with with their
mhm,
money if my goodness, she lost all
mhm,
hers? What the heck?
right.
I'm not going
Mhm.
there. But just the sheer fact
Yeah.
that you know what it's like,
Mhm.
how to get out of it,
Mhm.
how to make good decisions afterwards,
That's it.
I think puts you way up here compared to other people who
Mhm.
hadn't experienced that. So as painful as it was, the law of the universe takes you to where you're
Mhm.
supposed to be and to
Mhm.
serve the people.
Mhm.
You want to make sure that doesn't happen to them.
That's it.
You a lot more, I think, wiser, more authentic, more
Mhm.
relatable. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you have insight because of experience, not from a textbook. Not from a textbook. I'm not into textbooks.
That's it.
I'm
That's
sorry. I
it,
know everyone's
Mary.
got lots of great degrees. I mean, I'm an instructor for Wharton. I could go on and on about academia, but I don't
Mhm.
have any fancy degrees, and I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
But what I have and what you have is real world experience
That's
that the
it.
everyday person goes through.
That's it.
Absolutely applaud you for sharing that because
Yeah.
I know that's not easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I hope that backstory um, is on your website, on the About Us. I hope that backstory it's going to get on your LinkedIn company page because I'm going to make it on there.
Oh,
Uh, but I really love what you said,
mhm.
and you know
Yeah.
what? That's a high note.
Yeah.
What you just talked about was a high note.
Yeah.
So I want people to know how to get a hold of you because I
Okay.
think that they do need to connect with you because you get it.
Oh,
Get
thank
it.
you so much. Thank you
So
so much. I
how do they
appreciate.
reach you?
So, of course, I'm here on LinkedIn. And then you can also visit my website, almostreadytoretire.com. I would love to give those who are interested some free resources away. I don't know how to maybe drop some links later on in the post, but where they can have some access to my book. I've written a book called You Be the Bank, Financial Self to Wealth. And then, of course, I love to also share holistic retirement. Those will be some great resources. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook at Dr. Jovan Jackson and Instagram too. So, yeah, we'll drop some links so that people can connect with me. But yeah, feel free. I love to connect, I love to share. We're very big on education. So, we do a lot of workshops. We have a workshop coming up next Tuesday, understanding your federally employee benefits for those who may be federal employees. And for those who are entrepreneurs, I know a great bit of your community are entrepreneurs as well. I love to connect with you and even offer 15-minute chats, because one of the things that you said at the very beginning, that was my tip to your audience, is to tell them. I switched it. I just went with what was on the top of my head, but my plan tip was to tell your audience to make sure that they have an exit strategy. And it is funny, you said it before I even said it. So
I had it for a different thing for
yeah,
career exit strategy. You have it to get out of the career
yes,
and
yes,
do something different. And I think that you touched on something. Entrepreneurs, especially being a small business owner without that corporate sometimes parachute that they can offer, you have to plan very differently.
that's it.
Very, very
Over
different.
60% of entrepreneurs, they don't have anything planned.
Right, right.
And
I
so
think
that's
it's so
why,
important.
yes, and that's why I would share for those who are listening today, who are interested, we can have a 15-minute chat to see if we are a good fit to work together, just kind of see what you're doing and give you some tips. If we're not, I can give you some other resources, but just putting an exit strategy in place, because at some point that 70-year-old, that 60, that 70-year-old, that 80-year-old person is not going to continue to be able to run the business. And so you want to have something in place to transition it, whether you're going to sell it, pass it to your family, or whatever. There has to be a strategy in place to do that, so that you can continue to sustain your life. So you're not that person who's 70 and 80 still working at Walmart because you didn't plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've loved our conversation. You just dropped some amazing words of wisdom. And for all of you who have been tuning in, please get a hold of Dr. Jovan Jackson. I love the name. And so for tuning in tonight, you got a double episode, and I have loved both my guests tonight. Both have brought it on, and truly rock stars. For those of you who are watching the replay or tuning in for the first time, I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps, and this is Why Are You an Entrepreneur? This is Trials, Triumphs, and Words of Wisdom. We're here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you are an entrepreneur, regardless of where you're at in your journey, you have a story to share, and I have an audience who needs to hear what you have to say. So please reach out to me to be a guest. And if you need somebody to walk that journey with you to help you eliminate the overwhelm, the stress, and the common mistakes that can derail you, don't do it alone. It doesn't work out very well. I'll attest to that, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful night, and we will be back next week with another rock star. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Thank you, Maureen.